LAC Flying School. My name's Chris Avan, and again we're looking at some pre-flight briefings just to help you for your PPL course. So, briefing today is on Exercise 6, Straight and Level Part 2. Aim to maintain straight and level flight whilst changing airspeed and selecting flap. Again, why we do this is because we may need to maintain a constant speed, constant altitude, for example in the circuit, and we have to be selecting flap as we fly level. Threat and error management, thinking about our lookout again, other airplanes. Engine overheating, errors we can make, wrong press settings again, radio frequencies, exceeding flap, speeds, running out of fuel. So more things to think about as we go through the lesson. To manage all these, the important part, keeping that good lookout going, keeping going on those breather checks every 10 to 15 minutes, and keeping an eye on the VFE speed. So, on the exercise we'll start off with the takeoff. Takeoff starts when we're lined up, and eventually the instructor will teach you the takeoff, and then you can practice it on the subsequent flights. Takeoff starting from the lining up until the aircraft is established, climbing away at our best climb speed. After that we'll have a look at straight and level flights, just do a bit of revision and a bit of revision on the breather checks to get them flowing nicely. After that we'll have a look at the main exercise, start with decelerating. The way we decelerate is by doing good lookout first. Then reduce the power. After the power is reduced, we then progressively adjust the attitude and trim. Well, as we're decelerating, we're going to have to raise the nose to maintain level flight. So we'll be progressively adjusting the attitude up and trimming. Checking the instruments, having a look at the ASI and the ball, keeping it balanced, our reference point and the DI for direction. And once the airspeed is essentially steadied at our new attitude, we can fine tune and trim. In the same way for accelerating, initially we do a good lookout first and then increase the power. As we increase the power and accelerate, we're going to have to lower the nose this time, pitch down to maintain level flight. So again, our phrase is to progressively adjust the attitude and trim. As we slow down, we'll have to keep adjusting that attitude. Checking the instruments, again the same way, the airspeed, the ball, checking our reference point and the DI, keeping that scan going all the time. Once the airspeed has steadied, we can then fine tune and trim, maintaining level flight. Now I have to apologise for my diagrams on the board, my drawings here. There are three different cockpits, looking out the front with our horizons. At our normal straight and level attitude, 90 knots, we know equals 2,300 RPM. As I said, at a faster airspeed, setting a higher RPM setting, our horizon is going to be more up the canopy. At a lower airspeed, for example 70 knots, be about 1900 RPM, the horizon's going to be down our canopy. So we're going to eventually set ourselves up with some new attitudes. From the airspeed steadying and we're trimmed down, that would be our new datum. So that would be our new reference for that speed. Now as we know, the aircraft flies on airspeeds, not RPM settings. So we're going to have to select a specific speed. Roughly about 5 knots equals 100 RPM. So we've got to do our lookouts first at all times. After that we're going to assess and set the power setting we want. So if 5 knots equals 100 RPM, that would mean about 1900 RPM equals about 70 knots. So that's going to be our target to set if we want to fly at 70 knots. So set 1900 RPM, for example, and again on mnemonic, progressively adjust that attitude and trim. Keep scanning the instruments in the same way. Once the airspeed is steadied, again we can fine tune and trim. It's going to be a nice gentle, hopefully, deceleration. In the same way, if we wanted to accelerate to a set speed, we have to again assess and set the power, then go into our progressively adjust the attitude and trim instruments. Once it steadies out, we can trim the aircraft. Our next stage is that we're going to do a full power acceleration. We use the same structure as before. It's just going to happen a little bit faster this time. So look out, and this time we're going to go to full power first. But we need to anticipate the airspeed. Before we get to the target airspeed, we have to readjust that throttle again. And then finally trim it out. So it just happens a bit quicker, and just remembering to reset the RPM setting. And lastly, we'll have a look at flap. That all leads into the slow, safe cruise, just setting up the aircraft in the safest manner at a slower airspeed. Before we apply flap, we must always be aware of the limitation of VFE. So the way we're going to do this is to start to decelerate the aircraft first. Once the aircraft's inside the white arc, we're going to select the flap. For example, the PA-28 is 2 stages of flap. Be aware that when we do select the flap, we're going to cause an attitude change. The nose is going to want to pitch up. So we've got to control that. Once we are at the speed we want, we can then reset the RPM to maintain the airspeed. Again, maybe a little bit of anticipation required there. And then finally, trim the aircraft out. At our slow safe cruise, again, it depends on the aircraft, on which is what that configuration will then be set. And that is it for Straight and Level Flight Part 2. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.